So there was, as we know, we've been talking a lot about the base running. It hasn't looked great. It looked questionable. But I know Kyle Schwarber did come out and he was saying how, we all know we have to improve on our base running. We know it hasn't been where we want it to be, but we want to keep the aggressive thought in our head because we want to take the extra 90 feet whenever we can. That puts us in a good position. And for me, in all reality, that ball in the third, he probably would end up going to second base anyway, not third, but we're going to learn from the mistakes while keeping the aggressive mindset. And much like I said earlier about the stolen bases, I kind of reframed my perspective about the base running in that the Phillies right now, and as Rob Thompson, they're encouraging them to be more aggressive. And we know there's been times where the Phillies, last year in the playoffs specifically that jumps out, were not being as aggressive and holding up at second or third instead of going on and going. And so I think it's okay because you do have to find that balance, as Rob was talking about, which is tricky. If you go too far the other way and harp on your base running's trash, you're just going, you got to be smarter, now they're going to be hesitating. And you can't play sports hesitant. You can't play second guessing yourself. Much like we talked about with mechanics. It's the same thing with base running. You cannot play hesitant. So I think if they're encouraging to be aggressive and to go, these early season blunders will pay off down the season, much like we saw as we talked about Dawn Staley, great example, with South Carolina. They had their early season blunders on the defensive end and different things. They worked through it. And as the season progressed, they remained undefeated the literally entire season. Iconic. But as the season wore on, that's why their freshmen, for example, were able to contribute because they had already worked through those early season hiccups. So I'm going to change this and be positive in that the Phillies, we want them to be aggressive. We don't want them holding at second and third. They've got guys like Trey who are fast. Slim Schwarber, like Slim Shady, get it? Slim Schwarber is quicker. His knee's better. He's moving faster. The speed is there for the Phillies. Go. I'd rather you go and fail versus not trying. And that's something that I think it's going to work out. So I'm going to take a step back. I see what they're talking about. Trey was mentioning they're all out of sorts. Rob was talking about, Kyle was talking about. It's going to be fine, guys. Everything's fine. This is fine.
I hope. You talk about being out of sorts. I just saw this from the Matt Gelb piece about the base running. And Tyler, to your point, I agree with you. I think the pitchers have a hand in this. I don't think it's JT's like pop time disintegrating, but teams aren't as afraid. To your point about the Phillies not running, like run. Like it's in the favor of the runner now.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not just JT that they're running on more.
So like
everybody's
Rob,
running more.
Send them.
Right.
So the Nationals stole 5 bases against the Phillies, Renee. JT has been behind the plate for 2 games this year where they stole 5. Did you read this?
Yep.
Oh, I missed
Sure
that.
did.
I'm sorry. But he'd never been more than 4? That's unbelievable. So, yes, your points were all very good because I was reading the exact same points that you were saying at the exact same time you were saying them. So good find there. That's good work. But, yes, it'll turn.
It's fine. I said that before the ad read, actually.
Oh, okay. Because I was just reading it when you were talking. I thought you said it just then.
No, it's fine.
That's on me. I was reading during the show. That's on me. I'll take that one.
Listen when I talk.
No, I do. I just was reading.
No, but it is a really wild thing when you think about, like, prior to this season, JT had not had more than 4.
We used to literally go like, don't you run on him,
right.
You idiots. And now teams are running on him.
Exactly. And I know Barbara said it in the chat. Like,
Rob, send Bryson.
Rules.
Send Trey.
Mm-hmm.
If Yoro's still playing in a little while, send him. Like, you have 3 speedsters. Send them. Like, make them make the play.
Right.
And pitchers have a lot mentally going on now with the pitch clock and whatever. And they're trying to blame that on injuries. We'll get into that. But, like, be a little more aggressive right now when your team is kind of looking for a spark.
Exactly.
I'm all for it. Send them.
Listen, taking those gambles is what leads to, like, as you get more confident just going. As we know, it's a split-second decision. And if you're just going versus hesitating, yes, sometimes people, and I know in the chat I was seeing Jason, you were mentioning there's a difference between being aggressive on the bases and making bad baseball decisions. But to be honest, I think what's the biggest difference is when you get caught. Because if you make a bad decision and you get to the bag before they tag you, nobody's gonna say that was dumb. Oh, but you made it. No. Now it's you were aggressive and it worked.
Yeah.
So there is like a fine line between being a bad decision and being a good decision. It's all a matter of if you make it or not. So if you guys are just going to put your head down and go,
Tyler, can you look this up? I don't want to read and get buried in stats and ignore Renee again. The caught stealing rate over the last like 2 or 3 years.
I think ignoring Renee would imply that you were listening to begin with.
Well, I mean, 98% of the time I do, but my dumb brain can't read and listen at once. But if you can look up, I'd be curious at the caught stealing percentage rate over the last 2 or 3 years.
And I know Matt brings up another point because
prior to pitch clock versus this new era.
Here's another stat for you, Jamie.
All right. I'm all ears, Renee. Go ahead.
Matt brings up in the chat. I did read this. I think it was Todd Speaks that was saying this. The Phillies have been caught stealing 6 times this season, and they've made 6 other outs on bases, and both of those numbers are the most across Major League Baseball. Woo. So 2 other, fun facts for us, you guys. Pew, pew, more stats.
this is the stuff that's correctable. Like Nick Castellanos looking lost in the box. He's gonna have his hot streak, so I don't want to say it's not correctable, but like. These are the things that are very correctable. This is where Rob Thompson needs to nip some shit in the bud. And like, I'm not saying you bench Bryce Harper or Kyle Schwarber. Yeah. But if Johan Rojas comes in as a pinch runner and gets thrown out in a crucial situation in scoring position, that's where you go the old Charlie Manuel, hey, Jimmy, you got to take a seat, man. Like, that's not how we play baseball here. So I think Rob needs to be a little more stern with some guys. You can't do it with your superstars, obviously. Yeah. Or you can, but you're not going to do it every time. So, like, I think Rob needs
There's a way to do it.
To flex a little bit here and get these guys.
So, among qualified catchers last year, and I don't know what the qualification is. We can make it literally any amount of throws that we want, but the qualified according to baseball,
probably 100 innings, right?
Well, it's amount of throws. It's not innings caught. Okay. So I don't know what qualified is according to Baseball Savant, but the highest caught stealing rate amongst qualified catchers last year. You guys want to take a guess? It's not JT, but you want to take a guess?
At what
What's
catcher?
At catcher. Percentage-wise.
Oh, percentage.
Yeah, percentage of caught stealing. Do you guys want to take a guess? Either A, who it is, or B, what the number is?
I'm going to say, I don't know who it is.
I don't know. That's a tough one.
So it's 48.
Is it a young? Is it an older guy?
No, it's a younger catcher. If 48% is
I was going to say 43.
The highest caught stealing percentage. It was Gabby Moreno.
Oh,
from
he
the
actually
Arizona
came to my
Diamondbacks.
mind, but I went, no, it's probably not.
Last year, at the same rate, JT Realmuto caught about 22% of the catch or the runners that he saw, which was good for tied for 21st. He and Adley Rutschman both threw out 22% of catches that they saw.
Adley.
Now, granted, this is based on qualified attempts. So some of these guys have higher throw-out rates, and they've only seen 23, 24, 25 attempts, whereas JT Realmuto saw 63, which looks to me to be about top 5 or 6 amount of throws to second base based on just a quick search on the guys that I'm seeing. But, like, for example, Francisco Alvarez last year saw 67 runners at second base. He threw out 12%. Keibert Ruiz, and granted, this is maybe unfair to Keibert Ruiz because we know defensively he's not a good defensive catcher. He saw 86 runners go to second base. He threw out 7% of them.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, last year the highest was 48%, and the average caught stealing rate was 31.
Okay. All right.
Well, I know in the chat, just to give some love to some of the comments, Frank Dingus, what's up, Frank?
Dingus.
You're saying, but we all know the manager isn't going to change anyone's positions. He refuses to make any changes. I know Matt's kind of coinciding on that too, saying that we saw these mistakes all last year, and you're pushing back on this that this is a correctable thing because you're feeling like we haven't changed. Randy, you're also saying Topper only manages the bullpen arms. Everyone else does what they want. Listen, I know, and then Ray, Darth, and Jason, you're making some other thoughts regarding around the league things that we'll get to those around the league comments about Strider and different people. And good morning, Jay. You're right on time to weigh in on the conversation because I do feel like these are correctable, and I just want to make sure, like, we're saying it now in April. We should not be saying it still, even the summer.
June,
like
May
by this summer. Like I feel like on this early April, we've been having these conversations about Johan, the base running, stolen bags, these different things, the overall offensive production. We should not still be talking about this come June.